I don't belong here. It's not Jesus that is why I'm still in a place I don't belong. It's others' choice decisions they're making that do suck with being an introvert. I also used to be a horrible introvert, so I know what cons, even spiritual consequences come with being an introvert. It really does suck. It has its suckiest parts to it, pieces of it. And I make awareness about it for a reason publicly on here, because just how people used my disability to discriminate me with others' problems and issues, strongholds, sin, death, wrongdoing. Like there was nothing wrong with the leadership team. And they were always like having just about the same of introvert bad as I did when I walked in there. When I met Jeremy 17 years ago. They never used their voice to correct and be a parent. All these people never had, including me, my battle mother, during meetings with Jeremy. And so when I've had my brother Christ friend work with me, it has been like me about the same, and felt put up a deal with me. And I mean that with what I just said, putting up a deal with me, of being a pain in the butt, with what comes being an introvert. There's a lot of pride. There may be a lot of prejudice, maybe some jealousy, maybe some envy, maybe some, I don't want a daddy, I don't want to, and it's like you just start, especially when you have anxiety disorder in itself, you'll just like display your escalation that you don't want to grow up. You don't want to change. You don't want to receive and accept things that are not, considered really insulting. It's actually teach you what you were never given. You still got a long inner way to go and become more mature in Christ Jesus, and actually more fun and pleasant to be around, hang around. And it's a lot for me to have gone through what I did go through in itself before any other baby, child, little kiddo, little children of our Father Jesus Christ in itself. This community would really suck. It'd be a lot for me to put up and deal with. And the church, a lot of people, and itself, alone. Without them wanting to do anything of inner work, is all it seems, in some ways or another. And it's like becoming a parent. That really, technically, in itself, our leader, senior pastor, should have had this before he became even a leader of a church. And everybody has their own, abilities, capabilities, where he did something you should own up to. Whether you would like it, agree with me, and Jesus Christ himself or not. Because I feel really bad for him and his wife, most importantly than any other person that works alongside in that building. I don't have to be any of their daughter for that matter. Like, I don't have to be their daughter for that matter, Hannah. I don't. And he just used that man and that woman to lead me. And they probably were the most influencing and powerful through the power of the Holy Spirit, whether they could believe me and our Father Jesus Christ in himself or not. And so I'm gonna use something here. And I looked this up this morning in itself. And I even post about it. Thief of the night is a biblical phrase primarily from 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 2, and Revelation chapter 16, verse 15, describing the second coming of Jesus Christ, the day of the Lord, as sudden. And it was sudden when I went through 6 years ago. Unexpected and unannounced. Similar to a thief breaking into a house. It signifies a surprise event that catches people unprepared. And I see all this around me of unpreparedness. Like, don't care. I will go to heaven. I don't care what you say about it. And I'm like, oh my, right, for Pete's sake, oh my goodness in itself. Key aspects of the meeting: suddenness and surprise. And I don't care who of a pastor would disagree and disbelieve that Jesus Christ our Father used me first to go through this before any other event. Little kid, child of God himself, used me to go through it by what his children did wrong to this person and himself at the same time. Like false doctrine is who he is. You claim yourself as a believer. No, the hell is that is not a believer when you hide unhealed child abuse to your leaders, church leaders, and you kill them. You spiritually murdered them by bringing that false doctrine in the church leadership team and church's doors, by the way. So think about that. Unprepared. And into a house. You break the church's house like that, you have no hope of seeing to your Father Jesus Christ in the end. Whoever listens to this, you better guarantee I'm right on this. Whether anybody of a pastor would be so like in disagreement with me, you're not my Father Jesus Christ to say, and you don't know who he is. You're not him, and you don't know him. Because you don't. You don't know enough of me. You don't know what I'm in. It was sudden. I really literally thought I had Jesus in my interstate bank, and I don't care who disbelieves me on this by any crazy, wacko, psycho, messed up of an individual, by the way. Because it's like, yeah, you're not him. So whether you believe or you don't, especially disbelieve, boy, you'll see what happens to you in the end. He'll get you back like a vacuum hose when you did this to him. Claiming that you're a believer and you got the enemy Satan in your interstate being, don't even know it. I mean, it's just pathetic. Really pathetic. To go around claiming saying you're a believer and do this to a church leadership team. I mean, I don't have to be our Father Jesus Christ for that matter. I'd be so disappointed these children did this to a leadership team when he was using them to lead another. Especially let me say my senior lead pastor for that matter. I'd be so ticked and so pissed off at these women and people that did this to me. And didn't know what the fuck they were doing, excuse my French, but just the dirt, the filth of it all, the brutality of it all, what they did to our leadership team. It was hell. It was wrong. It was unacceptable. So similar to a thief breaking into a house, and he'll break into what you thought was Jesus Christ in your understanding. Oh boy, he'll get you back like a big fat inner whooping, because he did me 6 years ago. Key aspects of the meaning: suddenness and surprise, because yeah, you better believe it on this. The phrase highlights that the return will happen at a time when people are not expecting it. Like, oh, there's still plenty of time to lead the church. Don't even think that senior pastor right now. To be less than that than you may know or think, etc. Particularly those who are not watching for it. Uncertainty of timing. It emphasizes that the exact time is unknown. Catching the world off guard. And not being on guard, like your heart guarded away from false teaching. The church never had that, unfortunately. They'll let me. They were off guard. Biblical context: 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 4. While it signifies a surprise for non-believers that just kept going around claiming and getting all they wanted, my biological, and then those that did this to the church leadership team, did context suggest that for believers who are awake or watching, the day should not catch them as a surprise, like Jen right here, by the way. Hebrew idiom context. Some interpret this as a reference to the captain of the guard in the temple, who might catch priests sleeping on duty, acting as a thief to warn them to remain vigilant. Overall theme. The phrase is used to encourage spiritual alertness and inner preparedness, rather than to cause fear. Fear, I gotta say, introverts really suck with the fear on this one, what I just read here. The phrase is used to encourage spiritual inner alertness when you're encountering a false teacher in a false society, a fake Christian come up to you, for example, and still staying and keeping your inner guard up to stay away from those troublemakers that just kill Jesus and so many of his own children, for that matter. It's just disgusting. It is. Rather than to cause fear. And so I'm going to do another real quick here. This is really in itself legit. Of just, I already went through this for anybody else, unfortunately, but true statement itself. So I would understand it to share this with my senior pastor, me and Kevin, for that matter, and I wish he would want to know more about it. Because I went through it for anybody else, that matter. Jesus can only give me the opportunity to go through it before anybody else. So think about, wolves in sheep's clothing with this, what I read here. And I'm going to go to the verse I was sharing about this morning. May I read this whole chapter in itself? This is so important. The good shepherd and his sheep. Very truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, think about the narrow gate, by the way, but climbs in by some other way, the broad that leads to destruction, is a thief and a robber. Look what it just said. But climbs in by some other way to get what they want above our Father Jesus Christ, is a thief and a robber. Like the destruction, cause destruction, the broad. The one who enters by the gate is a shepherd of the sheep. So, by the narrow gate is a shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him. And the sheep listen to his voice, not, just be so against and resistant. Let's say the Holy Spirit and this person right here, our Father Jesus Christ, what that said there. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and sheep follow him. What about our leaders, the following him part, with this person's story here in this video? Because they know his voice. And just what happened to our leaders, this friendship relationship, I don't know if that's ever going to change what I'm reading here in itself, like for Jesus' purpose, etc. His way above the sinner's ways. And lost just people that are not him, period, self. But they will never follow a stranger, like a false teacher, a fake Christian. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. And let me say, that can even be Jesus' voice, a stranger. I was a stranger, you let me in. Matthew 25. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves. So before him and above him, yes, bad, brutality here, where I was once really at, are thieves like criminals. So think of these words, thieves, robbers, criminals. All have come before me, and went in their own way above his way, our Father Jesus' way, are considered thieves and robbers, which is criminals. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved, and not the world around you above him. That's right. Over the wrong, messed up, screwed up, psycho, messed up, theology, ideology. I mean, itself just sick, disgusting. Not everybody has even leaders don't around here either. This is so disgusting and painful and heartbreaking itself. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Church leadership of me and Kevin's. I come they may have life and have it to the full. Now when I read what I just read here, using a church leadership team, and you let the stealers, the criminals come in, cannot ever, ever not use your stinking voice being an introvert by what they did. By not using your stinking voice and hurting those people that are trying to take advantage and hurt them, they just let them hurt them. Just say nothing to them. The thief comes. Say about thief, by what I read earlier, comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I come they may have life and have it to the full. And being materialistic and still in love with your job and hating that Jen's not giving you what you want with being HOA, person in the office chair, and she doesn't like that I'm not pleasing her, and so she's like displaying that. That's, here and there, she's got a lot more inner work to do than I do, whether she likes it or not, to believe it or not to be true. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. You'll be hated. Just like I'm going through that hate. You'll be hated by all nations because of me. Matthew 24. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. Like a leadership team does not own me and tell me what to do and what Jesus has for me to lead me here, by the way. And be a banner instead of a rescuer in front of Jesus' own eyes and face. What I just read. And think about if you did not have wolves in sheep's clothing coming at you, church, 17 years ago, by the way. How's not legit what happened to you? By what you're doing right now is abandoned, like Jesus a banner. It's a rescuer. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep, like Jim Brown did to this person right here, and runs away. Doesn't want anything to do with Jesus and Jen anymore, and shuts the door on both their faces. Then the wolf attacks the flock by what you let in, and they attacked you and they killed you, the leadership team, and scares it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep, and that's not caring for the flock. By what our senior pastor did with being an introvert, it really does suck and has its suckiest parts and pieces of being an introvert. I walked in there as a horrible of an introvert, and I would rather believe my friend above these people that hurt me and took advantage of me in my job, in my role, in my position as senior pastor for that matter. If I was him, I would want to believe Jen when nobody ever talked truth about what they did wrong to Jen in front of Jesus Christ's eyes and face for that matter, and they did not tell me the truth, or any of my leaders for that matter, work alongside me. I would, be willing, and just by what I saw Christmas Eve in itself, where is that man at? Where is that son, child of our Father Jesus Christ, really at right now? And I hate that to wait on other people because they were involved in the same I was raised in. And my biological start to our church leadership team in heaven in itself. And when it started here, you got to end it here and remove Jen. When you let Jen. And evidently, all I know is what seems like to be true is no leadership teams of any church around here really know the true doctrine, all the way of Christ, and what the brutality of false doctrine. Otherwise, they would have stayed away from this trouble, 17 years ago in itself. And so I have just something to share whether anybody could believe it or not to be true. Like, I guess I did go through this for anybody else. Because what they did wrong from Jesus Christ's own eyes and face since I came in the world. All eyes, fake Christians, they were not good people whatsoever. And so I'm going to go back to that part where I was at. It was a really huge sudden loss. Your bio parents. I went through that again, February of 2020. I literally felt like I lost what I thought was God. And I kept going around claiming and saying that I believed and knew him, but I didn't. And so a whole huge washover embarrassment came upon me. And I hated what I was raised in for a reason and a right. I hate also what my bio mother did to Jeremy, and more than just my biological, towards church leadership team, the friendship relationship with me, and what kind of, again, what type of bio family I was raised in and was so close to and with the wrong people. My, people I met at church who I had the most of was bad, wrong, healthy, toxic, and division causing type people. And just like I didn't care. That's like my group and gang of like people I didn't mind hanging out with, and because I was just like them. And so I ended up with all my life those people. I've had my fair share, plenty fair share of those filthy, dirty men and women, because they used my identity and made something up so they wouldn't ever be found out that they were never healed from child abuse, discriminating me at the same time, and Jesus at the same time, because that's not his doctrine whatsoever. False doctrine is not his doctrine. And so the claiming and saying that you're a believer, whenever I see anybody have a lot of inner work through their, their inner state of being, that's what you're supposed to pay the most attention to than the outside appearance. And test the spirits and, discern and know the differences between evil and good fruit. Because, think about this with, the wool of sheep's clothing. You will know the spirits in the children are created by their fruit. Who they follow, who they chase innerly hard after, Jesus or Satan. And I can tell that, it does not take me that long to figure out somebody that they're a taker and they're not a good person whatsoever, and they abuse and take advantage of God's children. And I've had my fair share of takers and just really bad people. They're very division causing, and they cause a lot of problems and a lot of messes, and I have my fair share of those people, men and women both. I was raised by them. So that type of people to end up running into a lot may never change if I don't be removed from the situation. And then to where that can turn into the actual, where I'm more in and with of group people, like in the Holy Spirit, healthy, over to the toxic, unhealthy, division causing of bad groups of people, friends and family members itself. So I've been separated from my biological parents and bio family completely. I'm more with the church leadership team. So I became adopted. And Jesus used them for me to be adopted with them in a miraculous, powerful way. And then at the same time, it's Jesus adopted at the same time. It was very powerful, miraculous of a privilege to use these leaders in my life and himself at the same exact time. So I lost what I thought was God. I mean, just imagine how easy it would have been for me to just done suicide 6 years ago. But now, by what I'm seeing and hearing, it's painful for me because I do want to see also those he used to lead me instead of not seeing them up there with me during the Rapture Church. I mean, that could be anybody. Not just me going through something like this way because they were involved in the same, you were raised in. And where it started was who raised you in your childhood, the mess and the destruction and the division, it's the friendship relationship. And so nobody has the facts, the truth about this person right here. All I know is I have the facts. I have the truth. What is my autism? What isn't? And so I literally did have my bowel parents and my inner state being like a god and an idol. And I let them define me, let them define my autism. I was never, neither were my leaders. A lot of people in the state of Indiana weren't given the truth about my autism. And I was neither. And so Jesus has defined me what that is and what is not. And let him, be that controller and authority, over every person that comes up to me and says lies to my face, like, you are not know what you're saying right now. It's somebody you not create. And so I then, so think about this. Similar to a thief breaking into a house. The house roof over my head, I used to love them more than God. It's like right in Matthew 10. If you love your father and mother more than you love me, you're not worth being mine. So I couldn't receive him. That's right here, legit in a lot of ways. And I claim that, like the thief, Satan, the spirit that I had in me was Jesus. So, similar to a thief breaking into a house, it signifies a surprise event that catches people unprepared. And my heart, inner state being, was not prepared whatsoever. I had no Jesus in me. And just think about losing, and you have no help or support there, no staff showing up at your door, knocking for you to live out this and do what you always done, and it died. There was no way to do what I always did, friend Jesus, and he was all I had. And reliance, dependence on these people, my bow parents and my staff services, I literally felt like I was gonna die, not gonna survive. So like there was a flood of, so you felt like you're drowning. So think about drowning in an ocean, and you lose and hear what you thought was God, of physical, actual human beings that you could see and hear. One you released it onto, and the first is who you received and got it from in your childhood, all that unforgiveness, all those hurts from scars, and you have them like also at the same time as idol and a God. Because you're told never tell anybody that they abused you, or this will happen to you, to instill and immerse fear into the children. And so it's really a very brutal and a place to, like, go around claiming, saying, and I have my bow parents to love them more than God. And then, those people led me, they don't even know the truth right now of what my biological also did to them, not just me. And so many more people than just your biological parents, by the way. I mean, added on to the biological, while a church leadership team is using to save me from all this and keep me from suicide, save me from doing suicide. And so by summer of that same year, I lost my bow parents. This is a little bit funny in some ways, the bye part of it. So think about the high, instead of high, a bye. So because I was, I literally thought they were here visiting. This is summer of 2020, and I was hallucinating. And I might have had a little bit of confusion, a little bit with it in some ways or another. But when I say that I had a neighbor, that I could sometimes hear him like yelling and screaming at his bio father over there. And I also could hear things through the walls that, with my ability to hear. And so there might have been a gun game he was playing that was bothering me, along with all the yelling screams. So the yelling and screaming, and it's a male to his bio parents. When I had my bio father always yell and scream, my bio mother. And like, so the bio mother would be like with the neighbor, and you're thinking your bio parents are here because it's their bedroom right here I am in now. When I was living, downstairs right below, the register I did before they moved to out of state and abandoned me here and wasn't ready to love and accept me and have me, a disabled daughter in itself. I was always hearing it by the vent growing up, and so that flashback came into me, and also I don't trust them because of what they've done during my life in itself. Not sure what they're gonna do to me if I even started telling the truth about me going through abuse, etc. That was a little bit maybe part of it as well. While I was in the the transformation, the changing work in this time that I was going through, this moment, I was in the laundry room, and I remember like it was just yesterday. I'm knocking on the wall and waving, "Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom." My former neighbor's still living over there. So literally, I was hallucinating, and Jeremy told me I was hallucinating. I'm like, I couldn't believe that he was right. So just think about that picture. Like knocking on the wall and saying, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad," waving. That is hallucinating. And I couldn't. I had no sense. I had no common sense. I had no, I was blind still. It's my own day of birth in that same moment there, in itself. And I'm not knowing what is what. What's the difference between the two, etc. And even spirit, you name it. And so, coming out as an infant baby, generously cursed, and your bow father, I had the worst of from and received the worst from him in my day of birth, and etc. And how church was used, by the way, just think about, ponder on that as I share it at the end here, because it's getting to be the end of the video here. So, the timing, etc. So, I had, like I said, my bow parents in here. They left me. So, this is like the middle of that year. And while I'm going through the transformation, changing process, I'm knocking on this and I'm going, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad." Like, literally, I thought they were right behind the wall and doing it back to me. And so, with me saying that, though, think how you used to be so close to them, and now you're leaving them completely and having Jesus take over them. And it's your strategy. So he became the replacement strategy. And when I say replacement strategy, I don't let anybody talk bad or nasty or lies about my Father Jesus Christ and husband. He's became that complete overall who used to be in there. Like a bio parent. And so it's like, bye, see you later. Think about the wave. Like, knocking. Think about the knock. When he knocked me out and killed him. My bio parents in here. And I'm like, "Hi, Mom, hi, Dad." Well, I'm like letting them go. He's knowing what's happened to me in that moment. It's like awakening where it didn't completely take over yet. But he was working. He was removing who used to be in there. And you're just like going through what you can't see yet, can't hear, and not till November 2020. And I'm like, December 2020, what happened to me? How am I responding like this in a way I never could before? To your bio parents is still abusing me in front of my eyes and face, and unstable mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How am I doing this? How else could it not be Jesus? I mean, it was just like, so like they thought they could outsmart me, and let me include, they thought they could outsmart me and my, church leadership team itself, and our Father Jesus Christ, like all together. But